A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I want A+ English because it's so much fun. English education for you and everyone, so come along. Learn some grammar, learn a phrase, learn something new every day. Learn the A+ way. Hey, it's time to start the show. Are you ready? Good, 'cause here we go. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I want A+ English.
Hello everyone and welcome to A+ English. I'm Mike.
And I am Laura.
And how are you doing today, Laura?
Oh, not so well.
Not so well? Why? What happened? Did you see something sad on the news this morning?
Probably. It's all about COVID. When is this going to be finally over?
That's true. The news in Taiwan has really been dominated by COVID or by Chinese airplanes flying close to us to say hello or whatever they're doing. But of course, knowing the news is important, as we looked at yesterday.
Right?
Wars in other parts of the world, even if they're thousands of kilometers away, like in, I don't know, Ukraine, wars between Russia and Ukraine, as is happening now, can really affect us here in Taiwan.
Exactly.
You might not think so,
No.
but it's true. And if you want to believe us, just go ask your mom or dad if it costs more to put gas in your car.
They'll
probably go, oh yeah. And so it does have a big effect. So knowing the news, watching the news, knowing what is going on around the world is a very important thing to do. So how do you get news? That's our warm-up question. Where do you find your news? Is it different or the same as your friends and family? What about you?
I suppose not. 其实我喜欢看英文的新闻 like CNN. So I don't think my parents are going to like, you know, follow like CNN. They'll probably check Facebook. Like there's news feeds on Facebook. But
that's risky.
And also my dad actually Googles a lot of like strange things which aren't true.
Oh no.
So I'm like, Dad, don't believe everything you actually read.
I mean, that can be okay if he knows how to tell what's on Facebook that he can trust and what's the stuff on Facebook
I don't think he can tell.
maybe you can't trust. Yeah. Well, that's why it's really good to find yourself a reliable, dependable,
source.
And as honest as you can source for your news. I like to kind of bounce around. I like BBC, I think is very good for quick world news. They have a TV channel. They have an app. New York Times, I also read every day because they have good long articles. And, even if you think these people are telling you the truth, and generally they are.
They are.
It's always good to get different points of view. I mean, if something interesting happened at your school and 2 or 3 of your classmates saw it happen, you'd probably ask them all, what did you see and what happened? And they might give you slightly different versions of the truth. So it's good to find good sources. I wouldn't trust everything on Facebook, though. You're right about that, because often you don't know where it comes from. Well, we know where we come from, and we know where we're going. We're going to our article.
World news keeps us up to date. Warm-up question. Where do you find your news? Is it different or the same as your friends and family?
You might already know some big sources for international news. The BBC, the Wall Street Journal, and Reuters are famous ones. But maybe you want to learn more about a story or hear it in an easy way. There are some websites from Taiwan that make this possible. For one, check out Taiwan's international news website called The Reporter. It has a podcast called The Real Story. This podcast has interviews and explanations about world news. Another great place to get news is Mindy World News. This site makes the news easy to understand. It's written in a relaxed, funny way. Get the full story from either of these news sites.
All right, so we've mentioned a few already. BBC, New York Times, could throw CNN in there. Al Jazeera, that's another pretty good one. They have good news about more news about Africa and places like that. So it's always good to get that point of view as well. So we kind of get right into our article then when talking about these news sources,
Yes.
you might already know some big sources for international news. A source is kind of where your news comes from.
And we already mentioned some of these.
Yeah,
OK， 你可能已经知道一些就是国际新闻的主要的一个来源哦。那这里可能我们可以用 might, may， 都是有一种可能性的概念。那我们来看一下，刚刚马上出现我们第一个 word power word， 也就是 international。International， 当然大家都知道是国际的，对不对？它是一个形容词，像是 international superstar 国际巨星 ，international airport 国际机场，还有我们昨天是不是有学到 trade international trade 国贸？ OK， 或者是呢，我们来看一下这个整句的用法。The restaurant serves international cuisine， 就是这间餐厅，他们有提供国际料理哦，好棒哦！我们来看一下单字例句。International mail takes longer because it has to cross over to the other country。国际信件会比较耗时，因为跨国寄送的关系。
All right, so let's find out about some of those more reliable news sources that you might want to believe and trust a bit more. It says the BBC, the Wall Street Journal, and Reuters are famous ones. Yeah, those are among a small handful that I definitely would say are trustworthy. The BBC, the Wall Street Journal, of course, is more business news, maybe a little bit more conservative. And Reuters is also a very good world news source.
OK， 我们来看一下，刚刚其实我们已经有提到 BBC， 大家不陌生。还有什么是 The Wall Street Journal， 就是华尔街日报，其中的 journal 就是期刊这样的意思。还有 Reuters，OK， 就是路透社，他们都是非常知名的国际新闻来源哦。
All right, but maybe you want to learn more about a story or hear it in an easy way. Well, that's very good. That's very true as well. Good advice. BBC, places like that. That's good if you just need the quick information. What are the 5 big stories around the world right now? But maybe it's something you want to know a little bit more about. Maybe they're talking about, I don't know, things between China and Taiwan, right? Things that might affect you more. And you're like, I want more than just the simple facts. So you can also find other places to get your news in a more detailed kind of way.
Nice, OK， 所以很有可能呢，你想要用比较轻松啊的一些方式啊来听这些新闻，或是想要听更多，对不对？那这里我们先来听一下，我们先来看一下 perhaps、maybe 还有 maybe， 就是有2个字的 may 跟 be， 这些到底有什么差别呢？Let's check out our magic box.
Magic Box.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Isaac。不知道大家在学习 perhaps、maybe 以及 maybe 的时候呢，有没有分不清楚到底哪个时候要用哪一个哦？那今天呢，就要来教大家区分这3个的差异哦。首先呢 ，perhaps 跟 maybe 这2个字呢，都表示的是副词的意思。那它的意思有可能或者是大概、也许。那 maybe 这2个字，如果我们把它拆开来看的话 ，may 呢为一个助动词，那表示有可能。那我们后面呢要加上一个原形动词嘛。那 be 动词的原形动词呢就是 be。那 maybe 的意思指的就是可能是、也许是。那我们在使用，首先我们先来看一下 perhaps。那我们在使用 perhaps 的时候呢，我们可以把它放在句首、句中，甚至呢我们也可以把它放在句尾。那 maybe 2个字合在一起呢，则是放在句首或者是句尾。那 perhaps 相较于 maybe 来说呢，是比较正式一点点的哦。那 maybe 呢，通常我们在使用上会比较在口语上面去做使用。那我们来造一个例句看看，像是呢，你问你朋友说 What movies are we going to watch tonight？ 我们今晚呢要去看哪一部电影啊？这时候呢，你就可以说 Maybe we can watch Jurassic World Dominion。我们呢可能可以看一下，就是侏罗纪公园，就是那一部统霸天下的一部哦。那其实呢，你也可以把这个 maybe 替换成 perhaps。所以呢，刚刚的这句话呢，其实我们也可以把它讲成 Perhaps we can watch Jurassic World Dominion。再来呢，如果今天是 maybe 这个2个字呢，我们是把它分开来看的时候呢，我们在使用上呢会把它放在主词之后。比方说，我们来造一个例句哦。Stacy may be sleepy today because she stayed up late yesterday。Stacy 呢，今天应该就是会非常想睡哦，因为她昨天熬夜。好啦，那希望你们会已经有学会如何区分这3个 perhaps、maybe 以及 maybe。那我们下次见喽，拜拜。
And of course, I guess there might also be a language problem. I think you can actually get the BBC in Mandarin Chinese,
so.
but I'm not sure
those.
about the other one. So finding one that's a little bit easier from people here to find and to understand, that of course would be good. So it says there are some websites from Taiwan that make this possible. So you don't have to also practice your English as you're getting the news. You can, that's a great thing to do, but maybe you just want the news and you'll save English class for another time.
没错，所以如果你们会想说怎么办，我的英文不够好，没有关系，其实台湾有一些网站会让你用轻松的方式得到一些新闻的讯息哦。那这里我们先来听一下，看一下 website 这个 word power word。Website， 你们常常逛网站的人应该对这个字不陌生吧？它就是网站啦 ，website。OK， 像是呢，常常你们听到客服说 ，For more information, please visit our website。如果你想要得到更多的资讯，你可以去上我们的网站查询哦。我们来看一下单字例句 ：You don't have to call the theater to find out the movie times。Just visit the website. 没错，这个很重要。你不需要打电话去电影院了，因为如果你想要知道更多有关这个电影时间，只要造访网站就可以了。这是我常常做的事情哦。
All right, and we also read that you can find these news websites here. It's possible to do so. So don't say you can't. You can.
Possible， 大家可能会对它的相反词 impossible。是不是不可能的任务 ？Mission impossible。OK， 没错，其实 possible 就是可能的，所以它的相反词不可能的就是 impossible， 不可能的任务就是 mission impossible。那我们来想想看 ，possible 可能会用在什么地方？像是如果Jolin要开演唱会，我一定会偷偷问我的很厉害的朋友说 ，Is it possible to get Jolin's tickets？可以拿到这个蔡依林的票吗？可能吗？通常是不太可能。我们来看一下单字例句啊。If you don't have cash, it's possible to pay with your card. 如果你没有现金，你就可以使用你的信用卡支付哦。
All right, so let's find out about some of these local news sources that are good to go to for international news. It says, for one, check out Taiwan's international news website called The Reporter. That's the name of this website. Yeah, because often I find the international news on television.
Right.
It really isn't that good, is it?
They're very biased.
It's just YouTube clips or, they talk about the war in Ukraine by using pictures from the Top Gun movie. It's just some of it's just kind of like, this is not helpful. So maybe not on TV. Maybe that news is very silly and it's more entertainment. But there is this thing called The Reporter. Something you might want to check out.
Yeah, okay. Check out 这个 phrase 这个片语就是看一看，所以我们可以看一看叫做 The Reporter， 就是报道者的台湾的国际新闻网站哦。
All right, and if you're a little too busy to read, or maybe you want to get a bit more in-depth news, know more about a news story, it says it has a podcast called The Real Story. So that's great. Each episode might be 30 minutes an hour. You can listen to it while you're doing other things. The good thing about podcasts is it makes learning stuff easy because we can put it on and listen while we're at the gym or cleaning up or going to work, whatever. They have a podcast.
I do it when I work out. It's really good. Yeah, okay. 所以我常常一边运动，我就会听 podcast， 就是播客。所以如果你是比较懒得阅读字的话，that's like good news for you。因为呢，它其实也有 The Real Story， 它其实也有 podcast， 它自己的播客，所以你就可以直接像那个收音机一样，而且你还可以选你想要听的时间的时候，你就可以打开它。It's like unlike the radio, you probably have to watch out what's on at what specific time. So with podcasts, you just decide whenever you want to listen to them.
Very true, and often you don't have all those annoying ads all the time.
Exactly.
Kind of breaking up the story or the show. And it says this podcast has interviews and explanations about world news. So it won't just be two people in a microphone talking about what they think. They might bring in, professors, politicians, people who know about things to explain it to you in much more detail so you can become much smarter and know more about what's going on in the world. That sounds like a pretty good thing.
I know. I would love listen to the podcast version.
Yeah.
OK, 我们来看一下刚刚有提到 interview 这个字到底在这一个课文是指什么呢？我们来看一下 interview 就是采访，所以刚刚在课文是说他们有这个国际新闻的采访以及解释说明哦。我们来看一下单字例句要用 interview 这个字要怎么用呢？ The singer talked about her new song in an interview on TV yesterday. 这名歌手昨天在一场电视采访上谈论她的新歌哦。OK， 刚刚其实在同一个句子当中，我们还看到 explanation 这个字就是解释说明。那这里我要来补充说明一下，大家可能会更兴奋，想要听一下 the real story。其实他们是以调查报道为主的记者们，然后把走进的现场、发现的故事、采访的幕后、遇见的人物，透过访谈，也就是 interviews， 刚刚有提到，然后对话、第一人称叙述事情来带给你这样的一些消息哦。Okay, speaking of interviews, I love watching exclusive interviews with celebrities. I like, for example, Johnny Depp. Okay, exclusive interview 就是独家采访。
Has he done an interview since the court case finished?
No, Amber has.
He's been playing rock shows or something.
Amber has. I've seen like,
he's
her
been
lawyers.
Playing music concerts and buying curry for everybody or something. Anyways, I'm sure that'll happen someday.
Of course.
Another great place to get news, Johnny Depp or other news. Another great place to get news is Mindy World News.
Ooh.
I wonder if it's run by a lady named Mindy. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
This site makes the news easy to understand. Well, that's useful. Because sometimes the news, we just don't really understand what's going on. I read something about Bitcoin the other day. And I was like, okay, can someone explain that to me? Because sometimes, especially if it's about business or politics, something we don't have a lot of knowledge or experience about, having someone who knows more explain it can be really helpful.
所以如果你是一个常常在看新闻，然后这可能不是你太懂的领域，哇，接下来这个地方 Mindy World News，OK， 你们可能会想要来听听看，因为它会让新闻更加好理解。那我们来补充一下说明，因为我有稍微去看一下这个敏迪读选 ，OK， 它其实呢就是手机里的国际新闻台的概念，所以每个工作天的早上8点13分，它就会推播由 Mindy OK 它整理的国际新闻，那它就帮大家整理一些国际大小事 ，very interesting. Actually, check this out because of our article.
Cool. And the good thing is, it's written in a relaxed, funny way. Wow, so it's not even that boring. Even though it's important, they try to make it fun, interesting, and it's written in a relaxed, less sort of serious kind of way.
所以它是用一种比较幽默诙谐的方式来让大家得知一些新闻消息哦。Relaxed, I like that. 它是一个形容词，就是放松的。
Yeah, maybe more like having your friend explaining the news to you rather than
Chatting
some
to you.
Journalist or reporter on TV. So, for all of you who say, I don't know what's going on in the world, it's hard for me to find out. Well, we've given you a few good suggestions here. So, as the article says, get the full story from either of these news sites. Sounds like a good idea.
所以今天我们推荐2个，如果你们想要下一次再听个完整的故事的新闻报道，就可以自己去听听看，或是看一看咯。
That's right. All right, it's time for a review, so let's go and do that.
Review time.
Okay, so we learned 4 word power words today, which is international, 国际的，还记不记得 website, 网站 possible, 可能的，还有 interview, 采访。So you guys, now it's your turn to review these words by guessing the word.
Guess the word. So I will give you a definition, maybe just a few words, and this is what I'm talking. The word power word is what I'm talking about. Involving different countries.
No, okay. International.
That's right. It's international.
国际嘛，
So it
很
involves
多
different
国家是
countries.
牵涉的。
Countries outside of our own, which of course would just be national. If it's international,
Right.
it is overseas around the world. Okay, next one. Something that can be done.
Oh, it's possible.
It's possible. If it can be done, it's possible. And of course, the opposite would be impossible.
Impossible.
Very easy one to remember the opposite of. Just put I am on the front
Right.
and you are there. Something where questions will be asked and answers will be given between two people or two or more people. But you need at least two people.
采访 interview.
That's right. You cannot interview yourself. Well, you could, but that would just look really weird. And I would say,
how are you?
Why are you doing that? Okay, and a place on the internet. It's not really a place,
Okay.
although if Mark Zuckerberg's meta world becomes
Okay,
true, it might be
okay.
a place. But we kind of still think of it as a location or a
Yes.
place, a special, unique area on the internet.
Website.
A website, exactly. When we talk about going to a website, it's kind of like a place or a location, but on the internet, not in the real world. All right, guys, well, good luck getting your news. It's important to know. Find a good news source. Stay on top of world events because you never know when they might reach out to affect your life. That's true. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
World news keeps us up to date. Warm-up question. Where do you find your news? Is it different or the same as your friends and family?
You might already know some big sources for international news. The BBC, the Wall Street Journal, and Reuters are famous ones. But maybe you want to learn more about a story or hear it in an easy way. There are some websites from Taiwan that make this possible. For one, check out Taiwan's international news website called The Reporter. It has a podcast called The Real Story. This podcast has interviews and explanations about world news. Another great place to get news is Mindy World News. This site makes the news easy to understand. It's written in a relaxed, funny way. Get the full story from either of these news sites.
Word power. International. International. International mail takes longer because it has to cross over to the other country. International mail takes longer because it has to cross over to the other country. Website. Website. Site. Site. You don't have to call the theater to find out the movie times. Just visit the website. You don't have to call the theater to find out the movie times. Just visit the website. Possible. Possible. If you don't have cash, it's possible to pay with your card. If you don't have cash, it's possible to pay with your card. Interview. Interview. The singer talked about her new song in an interview on TV yesterday. The singer talked about her new song in an interview on TV yesterday.
认识字汇
Journal, journal. Podcast, podcast. Explanation, explanation. Relaxed, relaxed.